This veteran agent fell to a strange rubber entity, but the official records claim she just caught a nasty virus. If that document is true, it means the whole academy system was deliberately rigged to mess with our heads entirely. And today, we are going to expose the hidden 2079 mission logs that completely change how we view this whole case. Welcome back to the channel. Drop a like and subscribe right now as we dive deep into this absolute historical mess. You gotta understand the vibe of Gasha Village back in the year 2055, when Kousaka Shizuru actually entered the world. She was a Taimanin veteran, highly respected, but honestly, people knew her best for being incredibly mischievous. Shizuru earned 2 doctoral degrees and spoke 6 languages fluently, though she never really bragged about it. I kind of forgot the exact details, but she basically played mind games with people just to see their shocked reactions. Like, she would blow a soft gust of air into a rookie's ear just to watch them completely lose their absolute minds. But beneath that playful exterior, Shizuru possessed an unmatched intellect for pure infiltration and undercover work. She always took a bath before missions as a strict ritual, often using that fact to playfully tease her fellow agents. Some people thought she was shallow, but she actually cared deeply about protecting her students from any real danger. Her fighting style wasn't about brute force. She twisted enemies around her little finger to gather crucial intel. I mean, not exactly that. More like she manipulated the flow of the conversation until she got exactly what she wanted. You would think someone that smart would be arrogant, but Shizuru actually felt super self-conscious about her body. Whenever someone took the initiative against her, she would get nervous and instantly lose her dominant upper hand. This made her an incredibly human character in a world totally filled with emotionless cyborgs and demonic entities. Fast forward to the year 2079, Gasha Village discovered a massive threat involving some terrifying mind control tech. They called it the Eve chip, a tiny device designed to completely override a human brain and turn them into a slave. This raises a huge question. What happens when the smartest agent gets pushed right into the absolute danger zone? Shizuru got dispatched to Seishu Academy alongside Tatsuro, acting as an English teacher to secure an undercover spot. Tatsuro enrolled as a regular student just a few days later, giving them the perfect cover to investigate the school. They had to look into headmaster Washizu Shigeru and his shady connections to an underground group called Under Eden. Shizuru played the role of an elite teacher perfectly, completely fooling the headmaster during her daily activities. But she found absolutely nothing during the day, forcing her and Tatsuro to break into the main office past midnight. She cracked a small safe in the dark, extracting encrypted documents that pointed to a secret external laboratory. They discovered a hidden Washizu material research facility located deep inside the nearby woods outside the campus. The very next night, Tatsuro met Shizuru inside her private room to plan their next highly dangerous tactical move. She greeted him wearing only a bath towel, totally teasing him while simultaneously planning out the entire break-in. Both of them headed into the dark forest, where Shizuru flawlessly disabled multiple automated security cameras. They breached the research facility doors, immediately noticing that most of the cyborg technology came from the UFS. I personally think this UFS connection is wild, showing that the demonic forces had heavy international government ties. They searched the entire lab for an Eve chip sample, desperately hoping to find physical evidence to warn the village. But before they could secure any solid proof, a massive cyborg spider guard suddenly dropped down from the ceiling. Shizuru and Tatsuro engaged the mechanical beast, quickly realizing they lacked the necessary firepower to destroy it. They executed a tactical retreat, sprinting out of the facility while the giant spider remained trapped inside the lab. You might think they were finally safe, but the actual nightmare was just quietly waiting for them in the dark forest. A mysterious woman entirely covered in rubber suddenly ambushed them, striking with unbelievable speed and precision. This rubber entity completely overpowered Tatsuro, tossing him aside before aiming her primary strike right at Shizuru. How does a highly trained infiltration expert handle an opponent who literally moves faster than humanly possible? The rubber woman rushed forward and delivered a devastating paralyzing poison directly into Shizuru's system. But here is the massive twist that the fandom always ignores. That poison was actually just a clever physical cover. The attacker used the paralyzing liquid to secretly implant an active Eve chip straight into the brain of the teacher. The rubber woman suddenly stopped her aggressive assault, vanishing into the shadows and leaving them completely broken. Tatsuro dragged a weakened Shizuru back to her room, frantically trying to figure out a viable medical solution. The paralyzing effects were deadly, and Shizuru begged Tatsuro to find an antidote before time completely ran out. In the bad timelines, Tatsuro utterly fails, and the Eve chip turns our brilliant teacher into a mindless, loyal slave. She becomes a sadistic pawn for the mastermind, pushing Yukikaze and Rinko into incredibly dark and dangerous corners. Honestly, seeing her intellect drop while her reckless aggression spikes is the most tragic event unfolded here. But in the true canon timeline, Tatsuro miraculously remembers a tiny device given to him earlier by Kiryu Sabato. He activated the device, which instantly spawned a tiny insect-like drone that physically entered Shizuru's system. This little mechanical bug not only retrieved the Eve chip, but also completely neutralized the deadly, paralyzing poison. She regained full control of her mind, immediately grabbing the extracted chip as definitive proof for Gosha Village. They presented the evidence to the elders, successfully convincing the village to launch a massive, coordinated assault. Shizuru and Tatsuro spearheaded the main raid, directly attacking the hidden facility while others secured the academy. They finally confronted headmaster Washizu Shigeru and his loyal butler Inui Hideo inside the underground laboratory. The true mastermind, a student named Kuroi Ruji, revealed his actual identity as the legendary king of the incubus. Kuroi engaged Yukikaze and Rinko, leaving Shizuru and Tatsuro to face off against the fully transformed headmaster. Shizuru used her tactical brilliance, ensuring that both Shigeru and Hideo permanently met their end right there. With their immediate enemies eliminated, what exactly happens when you think the final battle is already totally over? They prematurely celebrated their heart-fought victory, completely convinced that they had finally wiped out the threat. Shizuru even managed to accidentally reveal Rinko's secret crush on Tatsuro, adding a brief moment of comic relief. But their brief moment of joy shattered when the Rubber Woman and the Incubus King suddenly reappeared, totally unharmed. This is the moment that completely blew my mind back then, proving that the Taimanin were entirely out of their league. The rubber attacker slowly removed her mask, revealing her true identity as Yukikaze's missing mother, Shiranui. Shiranui had vanished years ago, and seeing her fight for the demonic faction absolutely destroyed village morale. The Incubus King and Shiranui refused to continue the fight, acknowledging the agents as worthy future rivals. They activated a teleportation spell and vanished into thin air, leaving Shizuru standing there in total, utter shock. The facility was successfully secured, but the psychological damage inflicted upon the team would literally last forever. Shizuru survived the horrific ordeal, yet her character arc mysteriously fades away in the older historical timelines. Some fans believe she retired, but official notes suggest she remained highly active around the year 2082 during TA3. I personally think she stepped out of the main spotlight to resume her crucial undercover infiltration work quietly. She was never the type to actively seek out a flashy rival or demand absolute central attention from her peers anyway. Her greatest weapon was always her ability to make enemies constantly second-guess her true motivations and objectives. Most people focus entirely on her provocative outfits or her playful teasing, but they totally miss her tactical genius. She willingly put herself directly in the crosshairs of a demonic cult just to ensure her young students remain safe. The fact that she almost became a mindless drone proves exactly how incredibly high the stakes were during that mission. Every time I replay this specific route, I always realize how dangerously close Gosha Village came to absolute collapse. Without Sabato's mechanical insect, the entire Taimanin organization would have fallen to the Washizu group easily. It makes you wonder how many elite agents quietly met their end just because they lacked a tiny bit of lucky timing. Shizuru represents the harsh reality of their world, where the smartest operatives can instantly become mere victims. She wasn't just a quirky teacher with glasses. She was the essential glue that held that entire operation together. What truly happens to a brilliant mind when the organization she protects eventually forgets her massive sacrifice? The Seishu Academy incident permanently altered their world, exposing the dark reality of the Eve chip mind control. Shizuru Kousaka basically vanished from the historical spotlight, leaving behind a legacy of absolute tactical brilliance. Honestly, I strongly believe that Shizuru never actually wanted the fame or the glorious recognition from her superiors. Maybe she just wanted to ensure her students could live peacefully without constantly fearing some demonic mind control. If you think about it, true heroes in this universe rarely get a grand parade. They just fade into the dark background. It is beautifully tragic that her reward for saving everyone was simply getting to live another quiet day in peace. If you want more deep dives into these forgotten lore mysteries, smash that subscribe button before the next crazy video.